Everything about him is fake. His time in the military, fake. They say he's a Marine. Look up his role in the Marines. He was a correspondent, a combat correspondent, which means he wrote press releases for the military. So he's a fake Marine. He goes to Yale Law School. He meets Peter Thiel. He meets other people. His first job in tech, it's a biotech firm. The CEO says he only hired Vance as a favor to Peter Thiel. That was his first job. He graduates from law school and then works for a biotech firm. How does a law school graduate go to work for a biotech firm? Well, the guy that hired him tells us he hired him as a favor to Thiel. Then Vance works at a series of venture capital firms. First, he works for Thiel for about 7 months while he drops his book. Then he works for the founder of AOL at a company called Revolution. Then he starts his own venture capital firm with money from Peter Thiel. 3 firms in 5 years. When he was at Peter Thiel's firm, his colleagues say they never saw him in the office. When he was at Revolution, his boss, the founder of AOL, this guy Case, says Vance didn't do much. Inexplicably, he raises over $120 million at his firm, mostly from Peter Thiel, Mark Andreessen, and others. So he's a fake venture capitalist. Then, even though he opposed Trump from the very beginning, Peter Thiel organizes a meeting with Vance and Trump in 2021 to smooth things over. And then in 2021, Vance declares his candidacy for Senate of Ohio. Peter Thiel makes the biggest contribution of any individual donor in a Senate race in American history of $15 million. Thiel, with his connections, secures Trump's endorsement, and Vance becomes a senator. So he's a fake Marine, he's a fake venture capitalist, and then he's a fake MAGA senator. Now he's the vice president of the United States. Even his name is fake. He didn't go by Vance until he was 30 years old. Vance was the name of his Meemaw, and he changed his name to Vance just a few years before he published his book, which had been in the works for as much time, about his Meemaw, his story that gives him the credibility. For 30 years, he was J.D. Hamill and went by other names.
Is anybody shocked? Does anybody feel like this is unbelievable? Like we knew about all the shadiness surrounding Mr. Vance or whoever he is, whatever he decides he wants to be today. And all of this information coming out now about his wife and him trying to convert her to Christianity and him trying to take over Charlie Kirk type stuff is all a plot and a scheme. The idea that this is a man who referred to Donald Trump as a modern day Hitler, who was also agnostic, but is now all on Trump's meat and is professing to be a Christian, but is married to someone who's not a Christian, so not equally yoked. Does any of that make you think that any of this is